You are watching Omnis Protocol, just back from LVO. A little bit sick, but we're going to get through this. And with me is Ryan, aka ClassicFlava on the Discord. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much. Moving this week, so been busy.
Yes. We're very sad that we didn't have you at LVO, but at least you're going to help me commentate on this game, which is like lists that you're pretty used to.
Yeah, me and my son had some serious FOMO for not being at LVO, but it didn't work out.
I
But
feel that.
the plan is to go next year.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's dive into these lists. So, first off, it's Spectre with Kallus over Sabine and Rebel Commandos over Zeb. This is a list that you are quite used to, and like obviously, I think we all feel like this is a top tier list.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I personally like Sabine over Kallus, but I think it's a personal preference, kind of to whatever
Yep.
your play style is, which one you pick.
Yeah, I think I'm in the Kallus camp now, which I really wanted to be in the Sabine camp, but she always lets me down. And then on the other side, so that was Kenny's list from Zion's Finest, and then Matt from Rogue Support is playing Mando with Luke and Han and Chewie, and then Princess Leia Charming to the Last with Dengar and Rebel Commandos. And I know that you've been playing a lot of Mando, Princess Leia with Dengar and Han and Chewie. Like yours is a little bit different, but still, like it's a solid list.
Yeah, I played it at the last one day that we had, and I actually kind of came up with it right before that. Just kind of trying for bounty hunter stuff. So again, mine's a little different. I had Bosk instead of Luke, and then I had bounty hunters instead of commandos. But it's a fun list, and it's does it plays a little bit of everything. So I really enjoy playing it.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff in there. So what do you think about this matchup? So knowing that it's Never Tell Me the Odds, both players brought Never Tell Me the Odds. Do you like on the surface level feel like one of these lists is advantaged over the other, or do you think it's very, very neutral?
I mean, at first glance, I don't I don't think anyone's like necessarily advantaged over the other. They both have similar amounts of revenge, similar amounts of movement. You know, the Spectre list has one less model, but they have a tiebreaker. So it honestly I think it's a pretty even matchup.
Yeah, it's basically the trade-off of a little bit more revenge on one side, but then you've got Hera shenanigans on the other side.
Yeah.
Hera has huge swings. Mando is kind of consistent the whole way through. So anyway, it's going to be a really exciting game. I thought you'd be the perfect person to have on to talk about this. So this is for the listeners. This is round 2 of Top Cut. So it's 3-round Top Cut. So this is semifinals for who goes into the finals. I had intended originally to not have Kenny on the camera for round 2, but the bracket that was showing in Longshanks was not correct. And so I recorded Kenny in the first game and then ended up recording Kenny in the next game as well. But let's go ahead and let's get right into this game. So starting now. So I believe that Matt won priority. Matt is playing Leia and Mando. And so he got to choose side. And this is definitely a table where I was trying to get a little weird with it. Does a table affect your thoughts on the matchup at all, Ryan?
I mean, at first glance, looking at, I think below the high ground, it looks like there's an objective in that little cubby. Um, that seems like a pretty good place to have an objective defensively.
Yep.
So I might have picked that side, but um, I don't. I mean, nothing jumps out to me as super advantageous on it necessarily.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's definitely something we were talking about afterwards. I think both players wanted the side that Matt chose, but could easily impact the game in a big way. So Matt's going to go first. Obviously, we've got the layout where he's got the middle one, but they both have Rebel Commandos, so they both have a way to start off scoring that one. Do you prefer? It sounded like Kenny likes the flip that he got. Is this your preference on Never Tell Me the Odds?
So Kenny got the two in his back once. I
Yes,
mean, for me, I typically like that because you can be contesting both of your home objectives without leaving your models kind of exposed to be taken out by your opponent. Right? If you're up on that
yep,
middle point, you're closer to them. They can come and take you out.
makes sense. So Matt pulls Mando first, and with Dengar he's a free reserve, which I think is a huge
Yeah.
advantage to playing Dengar because when Mando comes up first, it can just feel like a force tax because you just don't want to waste that activation, and so getting to reserve him for free is huge. Has that been your experience playing Dengar and Mando?
Yeah, I mean, I've only played that list probably a handful of times, but Dengar, it's weird because his turns don't necessarily do that much, but I think his impact on the game with the free reserves and then just being steadfast and immune to pin, he's pretty good at setting on points.
Yeah, it's huge, especially with how much pin can come from the Rebel Commandos and such.
Yeah.
That's definitely an advantageous model to have in the mix. So I like what he did here, having Luke use his tactic on himself and then advance again and then climb so that he can go get to the back point on Kenny's side. Nice start. A little nervous because Luke is not the tankiest of character. Do you like that play, Ryan?
If he was going second, I would like it because it would form a point. He's going first, and then Ezra's right next to that. So if Ezra is moved up there, which Hera can move him up, Kanan can move him up, and he can move himself up, then essentially he's put Luke up there for no reason. He's not ever scoring the point. He's not on the tracker, right? And then he's just leaving Luke out there to dry by himself. So
Yeah,
going
basically
first,
on
I'm not sure I like that play, but
Yeah, basically the only activations that don't kind of heavily impact that would be Rebel Commandos and Kallus,
yeah,
right? And I guess maybe Chopper, but even
yeah.
Chopper's probably fine.
And he'd probably
So yeah, I
reserve
can.
Chopper.
Well, I mean, Chopper's right there. I'd have to. It's kind of hard to see at the angle because of where he's kind of tucked in.
Oh, I see it,
Uh,
yeah.
so he does go ahead and make an attack, I believe, on Ezra, or is it Kallus? That I'm not one of. I guess we'll see when
No,
they put some
that's
tokens down.
Ezra, because Kallus is over with Hera.
Sorry, I meant Kanan.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was just he definitely I know he was discussing he didn't want Ezra or Kanan to just kind of dash or jump onto the point and so he did go ahead and attack Ezra figuring the he wasn't quite in range to get to the ladder.
Yeah.
So not a bad play. We'll see if that pays off. Obviously depending on what Kenny gets next, that play might do nothing, but I'm not sure there was a better play for Luke. Right? He's
Yeah,
not on the side to go after the middle.
I mean, being somebody who's played a lot of Republic, I don't like to just toss myself out there to claim objectives if there's something taken away. But, you know, but I'm more of a defensive player in general, so at
Fair.
least at the beginning.
Well, Kenny does get Ezra, so this seems like a pretty easy chance for him to take back
Mm,
this point. But I guess at least the upside of this is that it kind of forces Kenny's first activation to retake one of the points that he kind of had already considered his own point.
that's true.
But at the same time, Ezra probably wasn't doing anything else,
Yeah, Ezra.
right?
No, he didn't have anywhere else he could get to. I don't think Ezra could get to the either the middle point that was Matt's, or obviously the point on the
Yeah.
other side of the board.
Maybe he could have walked, jumped, and shot the Rebel Commando. That's kind of in that midline point that's partway up the board. That's probably the only other play. But I
Yeah, and
think he
then
would have needed some shoves or a jump to get on it.
yeah, I mean Ezra has a reposition or a jump on his tree, so it's
Yeah. Or
possible.
both. Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly that would be the only other play. So not bad. It hadn't quite clicked to me until I was seeing it just how far Luke moves.
Yeah, I've not played with him yet. I might have to
Yeah.
give him a whirl.
Well, with how much we've been liking Leia and Han and Chewie, I feel like it's worth trying.
Hmm.
Two full movements and a climb. I feel like I could find some uses for that.
Oh yeah.
I played against him at SoCal, and he caused me some problems, so I'm not gonna discredit him. So right now it looks like they're trying to like check the angle to see if Ezra can shove Luke off the point.
Lots of
Yep.
talking,
So he
which is what
does.
you want to see. Keep
Yeah.
the communication open.
Yeah. Both Matt and Kenny are very communicative players. So it does look like Kenny scored two. So now we got Dengar coming up. This is always kind of an awkward spot because he can go to an objective, but he can't really shoot anybody and he can't like get on the right elevation,
Yeah.
which is always a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he could either go for the one on the far right, like it'd be at a different elevation, or he could just really lock down that middle point of his with him. I'd
Yeah.
probably go for the one on the right just because it scores you a point, and
Yeah.
you never know what kind of difference a point can make.
Yeah, no, I liked what you said though about the reinforcing the middle. That's probably not a bad idea. I hadn't even considered it until you said it. But because there's no way for Dengar to actually get onto that objective, like on the right elevation, so it would be a pretty easy one to take back. Hmm. Maybe being on reinforcing with that Rebel Commando might have been a good play. I like that. That's a good shout out, Ryan.
Well, because then Dengar can get to almost all the other points. Now his next activation wouldn't be for a while because he's not really a Shatterpoint target, but you
Yeah.
know,
And he's a hard one to shoot off, like
yeah, he would really
steadfast,
lock down
you
that
know.
point.
Yeah. Hmm. See, this is why I grabbed you to come on. I've watched this video like twice already, and I had not even considered that. All right, so he does send Dengar after that midline point on the right, and so he does take control of it, but he's not on that elevation. So he is able to score three.
Well, yeah,
So it
looking at
looked
it,
like,
if he scores two, he's going to get the momentum, which puts Kenny closer, but Matt will be the same distance away from winning his
yeah,
struggle essentially. But
yeah. Like I said, having Dengar on the right elevation can be a problem for a lot of lists. Like he doesn't seem that tanky, but almost every time I play him, it takes two or three attacks to wound him pretty
mm,
consistently. He's not a he doesn't have amazing turns, but I find he forces a lot of effort for the opponent. So Rebel Commandos coming up. I feel like this is great for Kenny.
yeah, that's a really good pull because he can
Like,
probably take that right point is almost it's for sure, and then the middle one he just has to get one shove and he'll take it.
yeah, that's got to be one where if I was Kenny, I would be like, hell yeah,
Mm,
great pull.
I really need
Rebel
to get my
Commandos
Rebel
guns
Commandos
are.
painted.
Are your Rebel Commandos not painted?
They're not painted. I need to paint them and
Wow,
play with them.
that kind of blows my mind. I always give Kenny a hard time because he calls them Rangers.
Yes.
I'm like, Kenny, there's nowhere on the card does it say Ranger.
I mean, everybody knows what he's talking about, but then if they
Yes.
release like Rebel Pathfinders or Rebel Rangers, then he really can't call them that.
Yeah. One day, maybe.
Well, the Castiel
Man, the
box has
Rage.
Pathfinders, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So, pretty sweet range 5 guns on the Rebel Commandos. I feel like he's going to get a lot of work done here.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like I think he's shooting both Rebel Command. I think he's using his Rebel Commandos to shoot Matt's Rebel Commandos.
Yeah, which is a great choice. You know, some people would think, well, why don't you shoot Dengar to get him off the point? But Dengar's already activated, so if you shoot the
Yeah.
Commandos, you're going to hinder their next activation. Oh, that's a great defense roll.
All right. Man, four expertise on Rebel Commandos is not really what you want.
No.
So it looks like 2 damage from the first shot, pin and shove, but he gets the reposition on the defensive tree, so that removes the pin.
And they're probably going to be pinned again, which make them take one
Yeah.
less damage.
All right. Ooh, 4 fails, 2 expertise. That is
Oh,
not a great defensive roll for commandos.
no.
So it looks like 2 crits and 3 expertise and a hit and then 2 fails for Kenny. So he's definitely going to have a few going through on this one. So it ends up being 5 damage, pin, shove, reposition. So not quite enough to wound the Rebel Commandos, but they are pinned and on 1.
The reposition on his expertise on the first roll saved them.
Yeah. See, I made fun of the 4 expertise, and it literally saved the model's life. But I don't know. Maybe you do want him wounded there.
Yeah, because then you get Leia and Mando can both get over there and probably keep him from taking the point.
Yeah,
He may not have
it may have
killed
been
him.
yeah. Kenny may have chosen to leave them on 1 anyway. I'd have to look at the tree and make sure that's feasible. So Matt pulls Leia. Leia is kind of a pinnacle for this list. She's a great Shatterpoint for the list, as are Han and Chewie.
Leia's just good in general. The more I play her,
Yeah,
the more it's like she does a little bit of everything.
yeah, for sure. So she uses her tactic to dash the Rebel Commandos. The one that's on the right doesn't move and removes the pin, and then the one that was in the middle dashes back onto that center objective. Where do you think Leia wants to go here? Like, it feels like she probably goes for the middle, because again, getting over to that right hand side with that Rebel Commando just feels tough for non jumping models.
Yeah, I think she just goes and takes that middle point.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely what she does. Because I don't think she can get to another point.
Yeah. That's the thing with Never Tell Me the Odds, right? You often do not have multiple options as to where to go. The meta at LVO was so heavy for Never Tell Me the Odds. There was, I think, most of the top 8 was all running Never Tell Me the Odds.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, weird.
The community just felt like they could get a big advantage that way.
Little whiff from Leia.
So, so not a great roll from Leia. It looks like it's just going to be a damage and a shove.
Looks like
Okay.
that will get him off the point.
Yeah. Hey,
Yep.
score those points.
Mhm.
Always difficult navigating the shoves around the terrain.
Yeah.
Forewarning, later on in this video, someone knocks over a bunch of terrain.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I always try to not set up the like antennas close to the deployment zones because it's always a
Yeah.
sleeve that catches them. Like these have to be towards the middle.
Yeah, definitely take off the long sleeves if you've got antennas right in front of your deployment. So she go ahead and use her other ability. She heals her. She heals, removes 1 off the Rebel Commandos.
Hmm.
Removes the. Um, what did they just remove? But
I don't
dashes
know.
Luke, I believe, back on the point. Kanan coming up. That feels like a good grab for Kenny as well.
I mean, can he get Kanan to that bottom left point?
We're gonna see. That looks like that's what Kenny's kind of eyeing at the moment.
I think he could for sure at least get to the middle one.
Yeah.
Easily wound one of the commandos. And then force push Leia off. And then he would
Yeah,
go
Kanan's
forward.
ability to swing points is kind of crazy. So right now they're kind of trying to figure out if he gets to that piece of terrain, would he be in range four of Han or Chewie? I can't see which one that is over there. I think it's Han.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Yeah, so it looks like the range four does not get to that piece of terrain. It's funny right now in the video, Matt's like, really, if any of these guys that are around the game, you know, Cody, Omnis, any guys, they can handle these
Yeah,
little judgment calls if the judges are busy.
yeah.
But let's see. All right, so looks like Kanan is going to dash himself.
Looks like he's just gonna go for the middle point.
Yeah. I mean, with the Rebel Commandos basically on one, that seems like it's going to be a pretty easy pick for Kanan.
Yeah, and I think unless Mando, with his reposition, can get to that middle point, I think he could pretty easily take it. Because I don't
Yeah.
know if.
Yeah, Leia would get a shot at him, but he's got the dash on his defensive tree. It's going to be
Yeah.
really hard to get Kanan off.
And
So yeah,
and almost I think attacking him could be a mistake because Leia gets her dash, and she could dash to
yeah,
somewhere where she maybe couldn't be force pushed. But if you shoot Kanan, then that lets him dash to get another angle to push you at. So maybe, I don't know.
that's that's a good shout out as well. As you look at where she's at, she probably could dash and kind of pin herself against that terrain.
Yeah, just like to the left of the commando, and then Kanan from where he's at couldn't push her unless he had some kind of movement himself.
Yeah.
All these things that I'm saying I would probably not think of in the middle of a game, but since I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here watching it and I have time to just analyze it as I'm not playing,
Yeah.
because both Kenny and
So
Matt are great players.
he does shove himself multiple times.
So it looks like he got
Yeah,
the commandos.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I really liked your shout out there cuz it looks like there's enough space that if Leia didn't shoot Kanan and just dashes towards him and moves past him with that rubble right behind, he
Hmm.
probably can't force push her off.
Yeah, I would agree.
Wow, that would have I mean it's tight, but it looks to me like she would be able to fit.
Yeah, there's almost a little notch there too. I really
Yeah.
don't think he could force push her off.
Yeah, it's got that little bit of curve. Yeah, I feel
Hmm.
like if he dashed to that spot, you're not force pushing Leia off.
Hmm.
Damn, actually, that might have been a misplay on Kenny's part, like following that far forward, because that he didn't need to shove to that exact spot. But
Yeah, but I mean, if he
it
doesn't
doesn't
go
look
that
like,
far forward, then I think Leia just goes to the left of where the commando is, and then she's backstopped against
yeah,
the tower.
yeah. He does have to dash towards her, or she has to dash towards
Yes.
Kanan. So there might have been a position where where Kanan could manipulate that. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here, Ryan. I think the play there would have been not to make the attack and try to pin yourself.
And just
But
dash. Yeah.
we'll see. Maybe you also want to force the force push. Like you want Kanan to blow the force.
Yeah. Because then that's force the hair doesn't have to spend later.
But points are points, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kanan just changes, I think, all kinds of play patterns,
Yeah.
things that you need to do with all the movement he gets. Um,
Yeah. And he did get enough expertise
he had their full
that
reposition, so he can for
yeah.
sure find an angle for a
Yeah,
force push.
he can go wherever he wants.
Yeah, so he's going to take that point.
Yeah. So right now they're just helping each other, trying to see how far back they can get the shove on Kanan. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind here that Kenny doesn't put down a template because he's staying on the point. Like, he's staying on the point and he's doing
Mm,
a full reposition. So he can get basically wherever he wants to go. Man. I always forget just how far Force Push pushes until you see the range 3 template down again.
yeah, it's definitely worth the two force.
Yeah. But since Kanan doesn't have to spend one for movement, I kind of feel like it's like a one force ability on characters like that,
Yeah,
right? It definitely is two force on Asajj, right? Because she's got to spend a jump as well.
yeah.
But for like Plo and Kanan, they're at least getting their second movement for free.
Hmm.
Okay, so we did force push Leia off. So Kenny takes control of that point and scores 4. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
scores four.
Yeah, he's got Ezra on the back. He still has the other back point, Rebel Commando, scoring that point on the right hand side, and he takes that point from Leia.
He's in a pretty good spot right now.
He shuffled the card off the screen. I can't see which Oh, that's just Leia. He hasn't revealed a card yet. He's trying to decide if he does Mando.
I mean, who would he want to activate right now? I mean, Han and Chewie wouldn't be a bad pick.
Yeah.
You could possibly, with enough of their movement, maybe take the middle point and the point from Ezra, because he got Luke back up there, didn't he? I can't see on
Yes.
camera. So,
Yeah.
make an
He did.
attack, then get the reposition, and then move them onto that middle point, and maybe just
Yeah.
shove Kanan off. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not a bad time for Mando, but I can see why he would want to activate someone else because Mando's probably not swinging 2 points right now.
Mm-mm. No.
All right. So he gets Rebel Commandos. Pretty much always happy for those in these lists. But thankfully, they have a pin on early enough in their tree. So if they can shove Kanan off and pin him so he doesn't just
He's
move
stuck.
back on.
Mass Commandos might be coming off the board because this is their first activations coming with an intro token. So if Kenny can wound them again, they could be gone pretty quick.
That could definitely hurt. It'll be interesting to see how much Kenny goes for wounds, considering it's a double revenge list.
Yeah.
So just going to advance the Rebel Commandos to start things off. I think he's going to melee Kanan.
Either melee, maybe he's gonna melee a commando. I don't know. I guess Kanan does have deflect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's going for the wound on the Rebel Commandos.
Well, no, because he rolled 5 defense dice. It's gotta be Kanan's melee. Are commandos 5 dice in melee defense? Or are they 4?
No, I'm pretty sure they're 4.
Yeah. Oh, he's shooting that rebel commando up
Yeah.
top.
Okay, so he is meleeing the other
Yeah.
Rebel Commando. So He is not going to get the wound. Looks like 6 total damage and pin.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
He only scored 1 point. I think he might just be giving away the first struggle at this point. I don't know. Because Kenny gets it right
Oh,
here.
that's tough. At least then, like in that play, you probably do Mando because at least Mando likely takes that middle point from Kanan.
I mean, he even go for the middle point though. As soon as he decided to attack the commandos, he wasn't taking that middle point
Yeah,
unless he spent the 2 force to do their dash, and then maybe dash
yeah.
one of them onto it.
Which he did not.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
I always point out whenever I go to events, the secret is you go to Home Depot, you get these 50-cent bolts and glue them inside those tall structures, and it helps them balance a lot better.
Yep. I'm going
I
to
always
Home
forget it
Depot.
these. Yeah, because I'm used to mine, which have that additional weight, and then I go and at an event, and I'm like, oh, I forgot how wobbly these things are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to go to Home Depot for stuff for the house. So definitely gonna pick up some bolts while I'm there. So thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. Okay, so he's doing chopper. So yeah, it looks like the struggle's just ending here because he's already scoring enough points.
Yeah, I think I don't know the we'll call it the hotspot map for the second struggle of Never Tell.
Yeah.
But Kenny probably does, so that's probably a point that's often active.
So the 2 on the left and the 1 on the right is definitely rough for. Yeah, neither of these are great for Matt.
I think the one with the two on the two on
Yeah.
the right, one on the left's probably better. Because
Yeah, it looks like that's the one that he's choosing.
he would have
It's
the
definitely
lower
better, but
right.
yeah. It's still not great. He's starting off scoring one of them
Well, based off who he has left in his deck, what he has Mando and Han and Chewie
and
and
Shatterpoint.
and Shatterpoint. So no matter what, he can get that point on the left. So he's going to score 2 of the
Yeah.
3.
Expertise. That's good for him. That's where he already has characters. So at
Mm-hmm.
least he's getting a good priority roll to start things off. Hmm. So again, he's got Mando left, he's got Shatterpoint in the deck, and he's got Han and Chewie. So what do you think? Do you activate Mando here, or do you take either the Shatterpoint or the
I don't think I would
Han
activate
and Chewie flip?
Mando because Mando is kind of one you're going to use to take somebody off of a point, right? Well, he's not
Yeah,
taking Matt. I'm sorry, he's not. Matt's not taking Kenny off of a point here. So I would probably, you're going to activate Han and Chewie then because it's them and Shatterpoint left.
yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think yes, Mando could definitely go take that middle point on the left,
Yeah,
but my gut says is that I want to take the Shatterpoint or the Han and Chewie.
yeah. Mando is what he needs to use to displace Kanan when Kanan's on a
Yeah,
point, or even Ezra. And right now he doesn't need that, and he might later.
yeah, for sure. At least they're not terribly close to objectives at the moment.
What's the challenging the odds here? Can we? I can't. I probably can't read
Mm,
that.
I am not sure. Let's see.
Because Han and Chewie really like Never Tell. If they're when it's supporting units for the challenging the odds. It looks like it might be, but it's really I can't. See if I can zoom in.
We'll see if they say it at some point. I can't quite read it from this screen. It's definitely not primary. All right, so they're discussing that it's Hera and Shatterpoint left on Kenny's side. Man, Matt's got a lot of force left. 4 force with 3 cards left.
Yeah, Leia doesn't use much force. I know when I was playing the Leia Mando list at that local tournament we played at, I ended with force all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I almost always spend the force to get the 1 movement. All right, so he is taking Mando here. So that's clear that he wants to get a character onto that midline point.
Yeah, I just no matter what he could do that though with Han and Chewie or a
Yeah.
Shatterpoint.
Yeah. I feel like the logic has to be is that he wants to save the Shatterpoint and he doesn't want to risk the Shatterpoint coming up.
But he has 4
I think
force.
he probably
Just reshuffle it in.
well, not with Mando in reserve.
You can still shuffle Shatterpoint into the deck when you have a card in reserve. It's not
You
reserved.
can?
I'm
I
pretty
don't think
sure.
I knew that.
I think you can. I mean, maybe I've been cheating all this time, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would still take Shatterpoint or Han and Chewie.
yeah, 100%.
And save Mando. Because that Shatterpoint, there's a good odds that that's Kanan.
I mean, I
And
guess he
so
could still
having a
use the
waiting.
Shatterpoint to activate Mando as well.
Fair.
And maybe he's thinking, hey, maybe he's trying to take out Ezra here. This might be an opportune time to take out Ezra because Kanan probably can't take Mando off of that point, and Kanan can't get to that point with just a dash.
Mm. So it looks like he just hunkered onto the point and did not Clan of Two. I can't see
Weird.
exactly where Ezra's at, but that would be interesting if he Clan of Two'd shot Ezra and then shot Ezra again.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It might be a good time to actually do a wound to Ezra.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong there.
Because playing with Spectre, you
Yeah.
have to. If people aren't wounding my Ezra, I'm a happy person. Because as soon as he goes down is when usually the game goes south.
Yeah, totally fair.
Sorry if
So it
there's a
does
little
look like
clanking. I gotta plug in my phone.
it looks like he is Shatterpointing Kanan. He used the dash to get Hera up onto the right elevation because
hmm
of that ingress point.
Yep.
And then it looks like there's just a Rebel Commando, I believe, that's on that back point. Or kind
Yeah.
of just the right hand side at the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen.
That's just a Rebel Commando.
Yeah. So seems pretty reasonable that Kanan should be able to take that point.
hmm
It's a little sad now with the Mando activation that it puts Mando so far from Kanan now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. If he'd used Han and Chewie to get that point, then he could have Mando in his back pocket and just go take that point back.
Yeah.
I think that's part of actually how I've grown as a player. Is I'm thinking, well, what do I want for my next activation? When do I need my diceless displacement like Mando? If I use him too early, then I don't have him in my back pocket.
Yeah, and when you're playing against Ezra and Kanan, having an option where you just know you can get him off a point is a
Yep.
huge deal. My best guess is, for Matt's point of view, is that he doesn't want to pull the Shatterpoint, getting stuck doing Han and Chewie, and then potentially having to do Han and Chewie again when they're just kind of like hanging out on a point. But
Yeah.
um,
And I guess Han and
okay, so
Chewie
Kanan.
probably aren't great into revenge lists, because they do like to kill. But
Yeah, that was a discussion I had with Matt. He definitely felt like he can just utilize them for so many shoves and such that he doesn't need to use them. that way and can also get models low for when you want to wound them.
He's not wrong. I mean, um, I don't know.
I
I
bet
feel
him.
like,
I was just going to say I did a bet with him that I said after round one, I would bet that he would lose to Leia Kanan, but he never played against Leia Kanan.
oh no. Was there a lot of Leia in there?
No, not really. There was a couple,
No.
but he never actually faced it. I don't know if he played against someone with it, but it was just kind of a friendly bet where I was a little nervous that his list would potentially suffer into Leia Kanan, but didn't end up being an issue for him. I definitely want to play Han and Chewie more. I got them painted right before LVO and did play my first game with them against Aubrey on
Oh,
Wednesday.
nice. They're. I played them one game and I was like, okay, these guys are, they're fun and they're good. I'm kind of
Yeah.
hooked.
They're definitely a weird unit that
Yes, they're very
plays a
weird.
bit differently than you would expect, but one of the most shatterpointed supports, I think, in the game.
Yep.
I feel like every time I play against them, my opponents shatterpoint them almost every shuffle, and it's always brutal.
I mean, because they're usually refreshing the force.
Yeah. So I believe here he shatterpointed Leia.
Hmm. Looks like he put his Rebel Commando back on the point.
Yep. Still alive. I think he focused up the ladder.
And he's gonna
I
shoot.
believe he.
He's got to get laid down at that point to take it.
Yeah. He can still use the someone's got to save our skins, right? Is the name of the
Mm,
ability.
yeah,
So I think she still has potential to get onto a
yeah.
point, but
Oh, did he use a
we'll
Kallus
see.
reroll there?
Yeah, I think so. 3 blocks and a reposition from Kanan. So resolving 2 shoves. So I think his plan is to try to shove Leia off the gantry towards the objective.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely has the force if he needs to use her.
Yeah. He
Someone
might
needs to
also
save our
want it.
skins.
Yeah, he might also want it for someone else.
Yeah. Kanan doing Kanan things.
So yeah, now they're resolving Kanan reposition. Yep. So now he's gonna.
Yep.
So Leia's gonna dash. Rebel Commando is gonna heal. So he will take that point back from Kanan then, because he'll have 2 bodies. Kanan is
Yep.
1. So I think he's going to score 3.
Mhm.
Because it's Mando's point is where it was the priority. Okay. Fail for priority for Kenny, which is good. That's where Hera already is.
I like that little MDF square they have that covers up the
I
map.
know.
That's not
Isn't
taken.
that
And
so
then
sweet?
where did they get it?
Yeah. It just looks like a laser cut piece of wood, basically.
Yeah. Is it Kenny's or Matt's?
I believe it's Kenny's.
All right, I'm gonna
But
ask
yeah,
him.
that thing's pretty legit.
Yeah.
I also saw at the con, um, Sith Emperor Kevin had these like Imperial credits that are like a metal plate basically that cover the mission perfectly,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, that's super cool. So shout out to Sith Emperor Kevin. Okay, so it looks like Kallus is going now. I wonder what he's going to try to do here. Is he going to try to wound the Rebel Commandos?
I think he might be trying to take the commandos, give them their second wound, because he won the
Yeah.
first struggle, and if he can get him off for the second, then he's got a body advantage and a tiebreaker for the third struggle.
Yeah. So Rebel Commandos roll 3 blocks. He did not have any force to get the additional dice. So it looks like 2 crits, 2 hits, which means he's just going to go 2 down. So I don't think that's going to be enough to get a wound, and he is totally out of force. So no
Oh,
rerolls.
I mean, Spectre's force budget is super tight,
Yeah. It seems like he's
especially if
done
you
a
do a
couple of
force
rerolls.
push.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and he needed a force push with Kanan too.
Yeah. Mm. 2 pushes though is going to get that Rebel
Yeah.
Commando off the point anyway. So
Oh yeah, and he takes the point.
yeah, pretty good for a no force activation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of distance. Okay, expertise. That's where Kallus and Kanan are.
Where are Han and Chewie?
They are kind of the back left.
Oh, I see him. Han was under the gantry and Chewie's to the left of the satellite tower.
Yeah, this is definitely kind of an awkward activation, right? Because they don't have the normal, just like, hey, both of them move for 1 force. Now, mind you, he's got 2 force, so he can do both of the movement abilities.
Yeah, so he
But he's got
should
to,
be able to get there.
yeah. It's just awkward. He's like moving directly through terrain.
Yeah, and there's actually not any good shove angles because isn't that Leia that's kind of blocking Kallus from being shoved off the point?
Yes.
So I think he just has to try to get both Han and Chewie to the point.
Yeah.
Maybe you try to wound Kallus. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Han and Chewie can definitely tank an attack from Kanan if they need to.
Yeah, and then
It's gonna
after
be
he attacks, then you move on to the point,
yeah,
right? Because Kanan finishes his revenge trigger before they would use their reposition after the attack, correct?
yeah, yeah. I'm just not sure how the kind of distances work out if they're going to be able to get either of them to an ingress point to kind of
Mm-hmm.
boost the movement a little bit. It looks like a kind of a tough spot.
Yeah. I usually try to deploy them on the side of my primary towards the middle of the map, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just so they can have, you want them to have access to a lot of the board.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020, right? The Han and Chewie came up first, and I think if he had saved Mando and had Han and Chewie move towards that middle point, and then he had Mando potentially to
Yeah,
go after Kanan here would be nice. But
yeah, Mando
it also
just
has to be
kind of chews Kanan off the point, takes it.
yeah he does have to be careful because Leia would stop him from using it, so he'd have to stay range 2 from her and then still
Mm-hmm.
get to the point.
Um,
Yeah, so it's still awkward. Yeah, Matt's definitely in the tank a little bit, trying to figure out exactly how to get them over there. I'm excited to see kind of what he comes up with here. Matt's a very creative player. Okay. So Han's getting a full advance.
I think he might be sending Chewie to go shoot Ezra.
So it looks like he's wants Chewie to reinforce the point with Mando.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Definitely a complicated turn. Obviously in Matt's spot, like you've got to take this struggle, right? Like you want
Oh yeah,
your you're in the top four, right? You definitely don't want to go 2-0 and wants a chance to still win and go to the finals. So I can see why he goes into the tank a bit for these.
Yeah, I think
If you half-ass a turn like this.
there's one or two turns a game. I think that you usually have to take like a longer turn.
Yeah.
And even when there's like a clock, like other games, it's like you always budget that long turn into your time.
Yeah. So it looks like he spent the force for the dash. I forget what the ability is called. But gave
But
Han a dash.
he's loose or something like that.
Yeah. I think he's shooting at Kallus.
I would imagine. So it looks like he has a shove angle on Kallus.
Yeah. It's definitely tight, but I think he probably has it. 3
Their
blocks. So it looks like he's going to go 4 down. So definitely a good Han attack.
their offensive expertise just always amazes
Yeah.
me. Their defense is bad, but just they usually I don't for them to whiff an attack is very rare.
Yeah. Well, and if I'm near the table, you're definitely rolling expertise.
Yeah, yeah, I'm surprised it's taking you so long to take them.
Yeah. They've been on my radar for a bit, but I knew I needed to get them painted. They're not great yet, but they're tabletop. So, but I'm
Hmm.
going to play some lists with them. Okay, so it does sound like they called over Todd to check the angle and see if he's going to be able to shove him. So what's kind of interesting here is um, Todd's doing some weird geometry with
Yeah.
the tool, not necessarily putting it right where you would imagine you'd put it, um, but just wants to see the direction.
Oh, I see what he's doing.
Yeah, definitely did not make sense to me at first, but Todd's a clever guy. So yeah,
Yeah, I think those laser lines have a use in Shatterpoint. I always forget to bring mine.
yeah,
Even for just extending like the distance, the 90 degrees and stuff.
yeah. I believe technically they're considered a measurement tool,
Oh,
so
really?
players are not really supposed to use them. But if you're a
Oh,
judge, use whatever's at your disposal to get the cleanest measurement for players.
interesting.
Yeah, so they're still kind of like, does it hit? Does it not hit? It's so close. So looks like the end result is that it will clear the piece of terrain. It's always interesting to me how the positioning of some random piece of terrain almost always ends up with something being like either 1 millimeter in or 1 millimeter out.
Oh, Todd.
Oh, chaos ensues. I love me some Todd. Todd, don't destroy the terrain. Thankfully, there really wasn't. I mean, Han and Chewie were on it, but I think it was pretty. They both went up ladders, so it was pretty easy to duplicate
Yeah.
where they were at. Again, put some weights inside those structures.
So he's done
Sounds like
Han's attack.
5 damage, double shove, and pin on Kallus.
Seems good.
Yeah, so now he definitely wants Han to be able to shove himself off onto the point. Which is awkward. There's terrain and models.
Yeah, I don't think he can get down there.
Yeah. What they're discussing now is that it does look like on the other side of the terrain is probably within range 2, so he might be able to shove himself to the left and still contest,
Oh,
but we'll see what he decides to go for.
no, it's one of the skinny tower. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an easy thing to forget in the moment, but Matt's a quality player. That's the sort of thing that he'll catch. Yeah, so it looks like he's going to try to fall off the left side.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens.
I feel like with editing and working on these videos, I have looked at Kenny's hat a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
hats
like,
are
Kenny,
not
how do you
great
keep
for
that?
these.
That's not too bad. I just keep looking. I'm like, man, Kenny, how do you keep that hat so clean?
I can tell you, OxyClean. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's what he uses, but I have a white baseball cap and it got dirty, and one of the dads on the baseball team said, "It was OxyClean," and sure enough, brand new.
Okay. Who is Chewie shooting now? Is it the Rebel Commando?
I would
Yes.
imagine so.
He's Chewie's shooting the Rebel Commando. So it does look like he's going to wound the Rebel Commandos. He's doing 3 damage and a shove. So he gains a momentum.
I don't know that I like the wound because Cannon just. Well, I guess he still has his reposition after the attack because Cannon does his
Yeah.
revenge and then you can reposition back onto the point. So no, that I like that one. Yeah, Han and Chewie actually, thinking about it more, I think I might have been wrong. They are not horrible under revenge just because they have that reposition after the attack. Unless the revenge is going to kill them, they can keep their position.
Yeah. Pretty, I mean, just a solid unit altogether.
Hmm. Looks like Matt's going to take the second struggle.
Yeah. Okay, they're finally do the first order deck shuffle. Matt's in a good spot. It would, I mean, Hera is always a little worrisome, but Kenny doesn't have any force, so
Oh yeah, so I
I feel
mean, he'd
like
want to wake up the Rebel Commandos. I think you would only wake them up if it's going to swing the struggle for you, though. I think otherwise you're
yeah,
leaving down.
yeah. My suspicion is that he would want to uh, just basically start positioning for the next struggle.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do at this point.
But we'll see. Some people are kind of all in on just like I will fight as hard for every struggle, and some people just give up on this second struggle really fast. And honestly, I'm not sure which decision is right.
I think it's situational. Depends on, you know, if you have any models that are wounded, like, do you really need to take this one? Because you're going to have units come off the board next struggle. You know, I think it's a
Yeah.
game by game decision.
So it looks like Hera is taking a shot at Dengar.
She went
Two
4 down, it looks
blocks.
like.
Yeah.
So she does get the free ability, so he has the option to wake up the commandos.
Is it really only 4 down
It's
for the
four
free
down.
ability?
hmm On her spread the light
Oh.
side, it's 4 down, and on the other side, it's not even there.
Hmm.
Oh
Matt here
wow,
is.
he could actually take that left point now because he put Ezra on it, and if he could wake up that commando that's near the middle of the board, he could advance it, and if he could get to that point, then he would have 2 on it, and he could break that tie.
Ugh, that's scary.
Yeah, that's what he's looking at.
Damn, Hera's swing potential is nuts.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
doing exactly that.
there's times where her turns will do like nothing because there's nobody to wake up, right?
Yeah,
And it's like, well, I really don't want Hera right now. But when she swings big, it's just crushing.
yeah.
It's just that's 3 out of 4 activation. No, 2 out of 4 because he Shatterpoint on the
Yeah.
2 out of 3 activations though.
I always think it's a little awkward when you hit the fresh shuffle and you get the character you just activated. And I'm like, they're one of the only characters I already have on points.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a bad pull for him though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chewie's over there by a Rebel Commando, so he can definitely get the Rebel Commando off the point.
hmm Or even go for the wound on Ezra
Yeah.
because Hera just went.
Yeah.
And then where's Han's still on the other side of that tower, right, contesting that point.
Again, it's going to be one of those weird Han and Chewie turns, especially with them being spread out. But
I think it's almost better when they're spread out.
yeah. I mean, talk about a support that just like does a lot of work. They basically I think saying they hit like a primary is probably a little exaggerated. They're probably not that good, but
No, because I think they only do 6 damage.
yeah.
Like full tree is 6 damage, but between the
Yeah.
two of them, I mean, it's not unreasonable to hit 10 damage between the two of them,
Yeah.
especially with all the conditions on there. I feel like it's really
Yeah.
easy to hit 10 damage.
Their tree is kind of a similar quality to like Rex's tree, and the fact that you get two of them is kind of nuts.
Yep, and they really live the dreams, and they win 2 things on their turn.
No.
Refresh
Please,
two
can you
four.
not live that dream against me?
Although I don't know if their ability where they refresh a force is once per turn.
I believe it is.
Okay. I don't think I've lived that dream where I've moved the two
Yeah.
things in the turn before.
So it does look like we have Matt back in the tank a little bit.
I mean,
It's kind of funny if. Oh,
he
go
could
ahead.
win this turn if he gets a
Yeah, if
wound
he.
or he claims all 4 points.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Ezra has 5 health left. That's not a crazy thing for Chewie to do.
Mm-mm. And you could even shove him towards Han and then have Han shoot him.
Okay, it looks like he's shooting at the Rebel Commando. So he might be going for another wound on them. Wow, 5 fails.
Wouldn't it be a punch? Or is this with Han?
Yeah, this was a shot with Han, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So just 2 damage. Okay, so he spends a force for coordinated fire damage. So he needs 5 damage.
That one expertise he sees.
Looks like Kenny's considering a Kallus reroll.
Mm-hmm. This is into the commando. I don't think this is into S13 or 4 dice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is into the commando. What do you think about this? Because it's only a 33% chance that it saves him.
Yeah, because the expertise doesn't give another block, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Expertise
I
only
guess
ever gets 1 block for the commandos.
if he has, so if he's looked at his force budget, he's like, I can spare the force, and if I don't get this, I have the third struggle. If I can win this second struggle, why not
Yeah.
take a 33% chance to win the second struggle? If he can spare the force, I don't know
Yeah.
what he had full force, so
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the fun parts about playing Callus is being able to look at the defense roll and be like, "Oh, do I just need one more block to kind of block my opponent out of doing what they want to do?"
mm,
And that's one of the most fun parts about playing Callus. But mm, I'm not sure I would have done that one.
I don't think I would have.
Okay, so it looks like now he's having Kenny go ahead and do his revenge trigger.
Mm-hmm. Who is Kanan British?
What do you think about Kanan being able to shoot whoever?
Honestly, I think it's
He's
fine because it has to be a Spectre that's killed.
yeah.
He can't even shoot there because he wounded a commando.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so moving.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, so they're moving on to the third struggle. Matt does take the second one. They're forced to play the midline, which is both kind of okay on the left, but I think having that spot on the right hand side being another relevant point is rough for Matt. I think in retrospect, with the way that the cards have flipped, I feel like I would have wished that I was on the other side in retrospect, knowing how these cards have um, kind of revealed. That spot's just been a plague for Matt the whole game.
Well, I mean, he does have Dengar coming in the deck, and Dengar can get up to that far right point
Yeah.
and kind of backstop himself against that control panel.
Yeah.
But it's the
Well,
back
we'll
right
see.
point that's going to be a tough one because he doesn't really have anybody close to it
Yeah.
besides Dengar.
Hera's just been like taking advantage of that point the whole time. Oh god, has that Hera point has been active the whole game?
Has it? Yes.
Yeah, man, that's so good for Kenny.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine? You're just like that spot right in front of Hera is active an entire game. That's a dream situation for her.
Yeah. And surprise. I mean, I guess he hasn't really sent anybody over to that point of the board. Like he has not crossed the midline on the right side of the board because Dengar is just behind it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just been Matt's been trapped
Mhm.
into like kind of always being a step behind in scoring,
Yeah.
and okay. So it looks like it's a Kanan activation.
Well, maybe he can get to that far left point.
Yeah, Kanan's so fast.
Well, did he already do his dashes?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he did his dashes, attacked, and was resolving the shove, and now wants to advance forward.
Mm. And who did he attack?
Rebel Commandos, I believe.
Okay. Well, they're already wounded though.
I don't know. There's no damage on anybody else, so
Yeah,
he may have just shot them for the movement.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, he must have wounded the Rebel Commandos with the Kanan attack.
Yes. Oh, okay, that's what I was. We see him put out the damage. Sure, was Leia.
Props here to Matt to accurately doing the Leia where he's actually checking and make sure he's moving towards Kanan.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's such an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, she's a complicated character. You know, the first couple games I played her, it's like, oh, there's a lot to this.
Yeah, layers upon layers. Okay.
Could he have gone more towards those points on the right with her? Because he kind of went directly towards Kanan. I guess he didn't want to be engaged with Kallus.
Yeah. I think it was a fine direction for Leia. It kind of keeps her flexible where she can kind of
Yeah,
go like kind of
yeah.
the
She
world
didn't
is
want to be
her oyster,
engaged.
so to speak.
Yeah, you don't want to be engaged because then you lose your ability to advance. Oh, is he checking the force push?
Yeah. Yeah, so here Matt's helping him just like hold the angle template because they're going to go for a force push. Force push. I would have thought that it was Mando, but maybe Mando's in a
Well,
worse
Mando
spot
can
for
move back
pushing.
on. Mando can move back on because his card's still in the deck. Han and Chewie have already gone. So if you
Yeah,
move Han and Chewie, they can't. He'd have
yeah,
to Shatterpoint them to move him back on. I would assume would be his line of thought here.
yeah, yeah. So it looked like he force pushed Chewie off, and also like Mando can just come back on from a random wound too.
Yeah, yeah. Pushing Mando off can kind of be a fool's errand sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Because the both Rebel commandos are wounded, Dengar is controlling that point on the right. Dengar just always doing a little work in the background that you
Right?
forget about. Okay, good priority roll at least for Matt. Leia, that's as good as you can pretty much ask for.
Yeah, she could probably take Harris Point and dash Chewie back on.
That's exactly what he's thinking.
Hmm.
Get Chewie back on that point.
And then get Han in a position where he can do stuff.
Man, also the Leia synergy with Han and Chewie is just nuts. Because they
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a little awkward there, trying to stay out of Callus's melee range.
Yeah. It's like he can get the shot on Hera, but can he get to the point?
Yeah, and I think it might be that if you just shove her twice, she may still be on the point, just on the bottom elevation.
Hmm. I assume they're playing that the railings don't block shows.
I believe that's the way most people were playing it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they're talking about it now how the side choice has kind of backfired on Matt a bit, where
Yeah.
they both kind of wanted Matt's side, but the way things have played out has just been very beneficial for Kenny's side.
Yeah. I'm wondering if he could shove Hera twice. get her off the point, and then if
Yeah.
he can dash Dengar with Leia to get him on Hera's point in a different elevation. Got two shoves, we'd have to get Hera off the point.
I think now Matt is kind of deliberating like, do I actually activate Leia right now? I always feel a little bad because I feel like the terrain has backfired on Matt and I set up the table. Because we use this terrain in Matt for all of the recorded games on Top Cut.
hmm
Um, just because I thought using the official terrain for Top Cut would, help make people feel more comfortable on stream. And
Yeah.
so I just kind of like changed the terrain pretty dramatically between games, so it was a very very different layout.
The
Um,
wall on top of the gantry is interesting. It hasn't come into play this game, but like it's to the left of Chopper right now.
yeah, I was like, I did that a couple of times, and I'm not sure. I haven't watched every game where I did something like that to the terrain, but I would be curious to see if it comes up. You
Yeah,
know me, I'm
imagine.
always looking for interesting things to do with the terrain.
I don't think it would matter. I don't think I would like it if there's like a point right next to it. But as long as it's kind of not directly on a point, I think it's
Yeah,
definitely something that's interesting and cool. I think it's fun,
yeah.
something new for players
I
to
mean,
think about, especially at
I
top
feel
level
like
players. Give them something new, throw a curveball.
I feel like one wall is fine. It's when you have two sides or three sides is blocked by terrain where you can't shove that it gets really
Yeah.
obnoxious.
hmm
But I honestly I wasn't placing with that much thought about the objectives. I was just kind of like, let's put a little bit because it's got this table's got the 3D printed crates and 3D printed walls because I just thought it
Mm.
would add some nice color to the stream.
Yeah.
Mm. Man, that Kallus positioning is just giving Matt fits.
Well, Matt shoved him there with Leia, or no, with Han. When Han shot him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is definitely not optimal.
So it looks like he's trying to focus for a free dash,
Yep.
be just outside of range 2 of Kallus, and then shoot Hera.
I think he's out.
I mean, I do think they nudged Leia.
They did. Yeah. I mean, all they would do here is she's just outside of two. Just put
Oh,
the
it looks
range
like
two back down.
with that template going underneath the gantry, I think she's definitely in.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like they've
Yeah, I
decided
think it's just
that
one of
too.
those parallax where
Mm.
where Kenny was holding the template, but when they put it on the ground, it was pretty clear. Okay, so 8 dice.
The six, because
Hera
she has her
rolled
cover
three
one.
fails. Okay, so Kenny got 3 blocks and a heal.
So I think Matt said he got two through.
Yeah,
Is he
so
on the side that is shove on Leia?
yeah, yeah. So he's
Nice.
gonna do 2 damage, 2 shoves. So 1 shove up to the edge. Okay, resolving the second shove now. Okay. Kenny being a gentleman, helping. Always nice to have more hands.
I think that's definitely something you have to do in Shatterpoint.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
so hard. It's like I've played a ton of mini games, and there's not a game where it's harder to move stuff around.
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like both people have to work together.
And don't let it be a deterrent to play the game because the terrain is
Yeah.
amazing, and it adds a ton of visuals and tactics. So I would not
Yeah.
at all discourage anybody
So,
from playing who do
so she is using Somebody's Got to Save Our Skin.
it.
So she dashes herself, and then Dengar heals 1. So she is going to take that point from Hera. So Matt scores 3. They both gain a momentum.
Mhm.
Fail spot,
It's good for
which
Kanan.
is
So
which is
far low.
where Kanan has already controlling, so that's good for
Hmm.
Kenny. Kallus, this is honestly a good spot for Kallus.
Yeah. Now Leia did take that point from Hera, right? He forgot to flip
Yes.
the token. Okay.
Yes, correct. Because he scored 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
Kallus can just take that back, it seems like. Take a dash towards Leia, climb up.
yeah. It looks like Kenny is deliberating. I think he's trying to decide if he wants to reserve. Because obviously Kallus isn't a big swing.
Oh, he's probably thinking, if there's a way you can take both points with another one. Right. It's
Yeah.
like something you can move two things. Like, I think he probably wants Hera here.
Yeah, Hera would obviously be great.
Wake up the commando that's up top. And then, she can move back up and take that point. He'd score 4.
Yeah, there's a reasonable chance that Hera would just be able to climb up, shoot Dengar off the point. She'd need to get 2 shoves,
Well,
but
all
she has
she would
2
have to
shoves on
do
her tree, right?
is just wake up the commando that's already up there, right? On the combat commando on the far right is Kenny's, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess they would come off the board though, but he'd still claim the
Okay.
point.
All right. So he did go ahead and do Kallus, which is a guaranteed flip,
Mm,
which I think is solid.
yeah,
And it's a no force activation, which I think is
yeah, I
great
think
for
it's good.
him.
Hmm.
He likes not to shoot because I don't think he wants to risk Leia dashing up.
Hmm.
Yeah, it looks like Kallus hunkered with the other action.
See, here's Matt.
Okay.
Matt scores 3, and Kenny is 5 away.
So Matt reveals Luke.
It's been a long time since we've seen Luke. He was first one of the game, wasn't
Yeah. He was the first activation has just been hidden behind terrain for the entire game.
he? Well, Luke might struggle to take that point on the left though,
Yeah.
because there's only
Well,
Mando on it. No, Mando and Chewie, so no, he would not struggle to take it.
yeah. Is he going to try to move over with Kallus and try to shoot him off the point?
I don't know. I've never played with or against Luke, so I don't know how well he attacks.
He has kind of an awkward tree where he does have 2 shoves, but you have to go pretty far down. But he's going to always give himself 2 rerolls.
Okay.
So his dice aren't crazy. Okay, so he's doing the tactic on Han.
Interesting. Maybe preparing for the Han and Chewie activation with the Shatterpoint.
Yeah.
Maybe he's already decided that's what he's going to use with the Shatterpoint.
So my gut says yeah, so he's gonna go and try to get that Mando point back.
Yep, and he says to stand on it, and it says, I think.
Yeah, Luke being able to give a reposition to Han or Chewie is pretty sweet. That alone makes me want to like give him a shot.
Yeah, Does he get what can he give it to? Is it a rebel or a spy?
It's just a spy. So he can give it to him,
Um,
Han and Chewie, or Leia, but not really anybody else. Unless you just happen to have like ISBs or Imperial Kallus.
eh, I like Boss, but maybe it'd be worth trying Luke in a spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the next models I paint.
Yeah, I might have to do him up too. Shouldn't be a super long paint. He's in Stormtrooper armor, so.
Yeah. Okay, so getting Luke over there does mean that he scores the point. He gets 3. They both gain momentum.
Yeah, it's close.
Okay. Priority roll is the block, which is Kallus's point. He gets Ezra. Man, I feel like this game could easily be decided by the order deck.
Yeah. I mean, Ezra
Um,
should be able to
I
take back
didn't
that point on the left.
I didn't catch who he was attacking.
He rolled 5 defense dice, so that would
Maybe
be
Luke?
Luke or Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
My guess is he would attack Luke because Luke can't move back onto the point as easily as Han. I guess they both activated, but I don't know. We'll see in a minute.
It's a
Both
good
have
roll
bandits out.
from Ezra. Like,
Yeah, Ezra's. I feel like he's usually pretty pillow-fisted for me. Oh, we took their covers.
okay. So it looks like it was on Han and Chewie. Got 5
Mm.
damage on Chewbacca. And then a disarm as well.
Mm. Does Luke have any kind of repositions or dashes on his defensive expertise?
No, he does not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Kenny scores 3. Okay. Fail. So it's the Mando Ezra point. Shatterpoint. That's as good as you can ask for.
Hmm.
Matt definitely wants to make a big play here.
My guess is he do Han and Chewie 'cause he moved that Han up there.
Yeah, I mean Han and Chewie could make it so he's scoring 4, right?
Hmm.
I mean, Chewie just getting to that point will mean that he scores that left middle, and then Han just needs to shove Kallus off, which doesn't feel like uh that doesn't feel like that would be that extreme of a situation.
Yeah. Question is, would you need 1 or 2 shoves?
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like scoring 3 isn't great. It's just getting down to where, she scored 3 and then Kenny's only 4 away.
Yeah. Well, and you want to get it where you're not just gaining momentum every activation because you could just sometimes that makes games just end really abruptly.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
so he
so
wants
he
to
is
shoot
shatter
him.
pointing Han and Chewie. So he climbs Han up there, which makes
Hmm.
sense because it's a better shove angle. You only really need probably 1 shove to get Kallus off.
Oh, yeah. Just can toss him off the edge there. How many rerolls would Kallus get Han and Chewie? 2?
1 because they're scoundrel, but they're not rebel or Spectre.
Kallus isn't a spy.
Yeah, I feel like Kallus should have been spy all the time, And
He's only
then
spy. Isn't he spy when he's rebel?
no, he's only a spy when he's Imperial.
That
When he's
doesn't make
Rebel,
any sense.
yeah.
He's not spying on the rebels. He's spying on the Empire, right?
But he was part of like the spy section of the Empire.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I roll in the Kallus one?
Okay. So it looks like Han is going to shove Kallus off. Okay, so Han is definitely going to take that point back.
Yeah, so
And
Matt's going forward this time.
yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Every time someone scores 4 in the third struggle, like that's where you get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Han and Chewie have taken 5 damage though, and he's kind of depending on them for 2 points. That's also not the greatest position.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chewie is punching Ezra. I think Ezra is blocking 3.
Maybe Han and Chewie have
Ezra
recovers
does
on
get
their
a dash.
tree. If they have recovers on their tree, they could take some of that damage off.
So what Matt's talking about here is if he strains Ezra, Ezra utilizing the dash would kill him.
Yeah, and he gets a double recover as well. So there are
Yeah.
recovers down there. Yeah, I thought there was.
And a disarm and a strain on Ezra. So only 3 damage on Han and Chewie. That definitely improves the situation.
Yep. He's such a good unit.
All right,
The
so
secret's not going to
Matt
be
does indeed
hidden
score
anymore.
4. Okay, it's going to be expertise. Expertise is the one that Dengar is controlling.
Yeah, and
All right, Shatterpoint. I
he
think
just
it's
said,
Hera time.
yeah, I think it's Hera, and I think he's
Yeah.
probably going to take both those 2 points on the right.
Yeah, this is definitely one where, so it's what, 50-50, right? Because there's Hera and Shatterpoint, and there's 4 cards left. So it's 50-50 that he gets to make the big swing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you're Matt, you're definitely hoping that it's not Shatterpoint or Hera. Yeah, and if you haven't played against Hera and seen that kind of stuff in action, you don't realize how big she swings these late game struggles.
Oh, yeah, once it starts getting close, if you're playing against Hera, you got to close it out or she will.
Yeah, she definitely can be a little on the weaker side in early struggle 1, but man, does she just make epic swing turns.
Well, it's weird. It just doesn't it doesn't occur to you, like when she came out, like just looking at her card, it didn't occur to you what she could do. And then you play with her and you're like, oh, wait a second. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah. So she uses the tactic to advance Kallus onto the point.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you got to pin everybody. Like,
So she's attacking Han.
okay,
And
so
so
now,
she's going to shove Han off.
yeah, so she's going to go ahead and shoot Han.
Oh, it's
Han
a good
blocks
roll.
2.
And he's got 3 crits.
Man, 2 damage, heal 4, and shove twice.
Yeah.
Man, Hera's tree always surprises you. Like, you look at it on paper and you're like, it's fine. But then when you're feeling it in the game, you're like, oh my god.
And her offensive expertise, at least on the low end, when you roll 1, It's
Yeah.
for one, you get a crit hit.
Yeah. Okay. So she heals on the first, and then she shoves forward, and so she can heal 3 off of Kallus because now she's close enough.
Mm-hmm.
I've really learned to appreciate the amount of healing that characters do. And then she uses her action to climb up there, and then she's going to spend 2 force, bring the
Look at the
Rebel Commandos
commandos
back.
and take all 4 points,
Yeah.
and then they come off the board. Oh no! On their turn, they'll come off the board. Not this turn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably one of the few rules I don't like. When
Just a bonkers turn.
Yeah. Man, whenever you score 4 and then your opponent scores 4, that's so brutal.
It's just like I worked so hard for that, and you
Yeah.
just undid it
Well,
all.
it's additionally bad because if Matt scores 3 now, you're giving Kenny a momentum.
You almost have to score 4 here again. You're Matt.
Yeah. I felt like he was in a good spot if he at least either forced Kenny to reserve to get the Shatterpoint or Hera.
Yeah,
So at least he
I
would be out of force. But man, just having the Shatterpoint there was so good for Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Oddly enough, like, I feel like the big abilities for Spectre are all 2 force anyway, because you have Force Push
Yeah.
and Hera's ability. I found myself leaving myself on 1 force playing Spectre before, depending on the order of
Yeah.
activations.
I suppose that's also a downside of this matchup I didn't think about until just now. Han and Chewie are an amazing target for Hera to shoot because their defensive expertise is so mediocre that it's probably not that crazy for her to go 4 down on them.
No, it's not. Just as a way
Yeah,
for her to
that
get a
hadn't.
free ability.
Yeah, that didn't occur to me until just now that they
Great
definitely
point.
can kind of feed Hera.
It's a great point.
Okay,
I mean, I guess she didn't
so
get the free ability that last time, but I mean, she
yeah,
did the
I think she
first
only
time.
went 3 down,
Yeah.
but obviously getting it that one time, I believe she shot them. Like
Yeah,
that's
she did.
even if she's getting it every other activation, that's a
Oh,
huge
yeah.
deal.
It's 2 force. And his commandos are coming off the board here, too.
Yeah. Okay. Did get 2 shoves there, so that's solid.
So he'll take back. Dengar will take that point back. Crazy the swing he did last turn.
Yeah.
It went from
As
Han
a
on
Hera
that
player,
point.
I'm sure you're like, "Oh my god, Hera, what a boss."
Yeah, I mean, it went from Han on a point by himself to Hera and Kallus on that point.
Yeah.
And then he took 2 other points. So, I actually hadn't played Spectre for a while. Played him yesterday, though. Look how fun they were.
I need to paint my Hera so I can actually try it. I also want to try her and Leia.
Yeah, I've not played her with anything else. Now, I guess she doesn't care if she's with Spectres or Rebels, I don't think.
So he wounded something.
Is it Ezra?
I don't see the damage on him yet, but yeah, that would be my guess.
Yeah, because I mean,
It's
they're
got
not
to be
gonna
Ezra.
they're not gonna wound Kanan. He's not
Yeah.
shooting Hera. Yeah, it's gotta be Ezra.
Yeah. So this is Kanan's revenge attack. Kanan only went 1 down, so he's going to do 2 damage. And they put that on Luke.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically tied, but Luke's kind of lined up now to be wounded. So all Kenny has to do is take a point and win Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, so this could very easily end right here
Hmm.
because Kenny needs 4 to win.
Yeah, either take 2 points or take one and wound. What does he have left in his deck? Kanan. No, he has Chopper, Rangers, and Hera.
Yeah, sounds right. So Kenny does reveal Chopper. I think it's if Chopper wounds Luke. Is that like then the game ends? Is that the situation that we're looking at?
Well, he has to take a point. If Luke, yeah, but would he take that point if Luke gets wounded?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's not, and he only needs to do 3 damage. That's two
Yeah.
down with Chopper. That's not hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he won't have a Kallus riddle because he has to use a force for the jump, but
Yep. Okay, Chopper could be for the game.
why do you only need a shove?
Okay. Yeah, might have.
Because he doesn't, I, because he's not taking the right point, right? He needs 4. Is it mission critical? And we missed that?
I think he's gonna wound. I think he's wounding Luke there anyway. But
Yeah, I think so
looks
too.
like things wrapped up. Very very interesting matchup. Um, do you think that kind of played out the way that you would expect?
I mean, I've never played or seen that matchup before, but I mean, honestly, besides the first struggle, I feel like it went pretty quick to Kenny, but struggles 2 and 3 were pretty back and forth. Doesn't seem like anybody was really dominating either of those struggles.
Yeah, totally fair. I think the biggest thing, and I didn't catch it on my first rewatch, but like you said, the dashing Leia to and then not shoot Kanan and try to pin her against that terrain, I think that could have been a great swing moment for
hmm
Matt.
and
But
playing with Spectre too, um, I play full Spectre, so it's probably even more accentuated for me is the first struggle is tough to win because you have
yeah,
less bodies. So if you can ever win the first struggle with Spectre, because once it goes down to 3 points, you don't feel the
yeah, you
fewer
don't feel
bodies
that
as
nearly
much.
as much.
So really, if you can win the first struggle with Spectre, I feel like you're in a really good spot. Um, Especially with Hera, because she's gonna probably have a swing turn in struggles 2 or 3, and usually when she has that big turn, you're probably winning that struggle. So I mean,
Yeah,
losing the first struggle like Matt did put him on the back foot, and he played great to bring it back. Like I
yeah,
said, struggles 2 and 3 were close, but it's
he
asking a
dug
lot.
deep.
It's
Yeah, he
asking a
dug deep.
lot to not to
Yeah,
win two and
I
three
think
against Hera. It's a lot.
Yeah, I think Hera just ended up being the MVP there, and she just made such amazing plays, almost back to back.
Yeah, she had two big
And
turns.
yeah, and that just put Kenny in such an advantage position. Um, yeah, so obviously, like retrospect, I think the side choice would have probably been better for Matt if he had been on the other side, but you don't have any way to know that. It might be that almost
Yeah,
any other mission flips would have been optimal for the side that he took. So definitely tough, but huge props to Matt for getting into the top 4, and Kenny advances to the finals. So, well, I will just say thanks again to the players for letting us record the games, and very excited to do commentary. And Ryan, I appreciate so much you doing this with me so we can get this video out right away.
Cool. Yeah, sorry you broke up there for a minute. Yeah, happy to come on, and thanks for having me on to watch the game and help me become a better player.
Yeah, good insight there. So the most OP thing that you can do is like, subscribe, do all of that YouTube stuff. Later, nerds.